the Judgment Day has just started to tease another major story, so we'll see what's up there. We'll also get into what's up with The Rock, Bayley, and more. Starting things off with the Judgment Day and everything going on with them. Last time we talked about the Judgment Day, we discussed how Summerslam was looking like a scary night for them, since there was a high possibility that they can lose 3 of their titles. Well, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez did lose their women's tag team titles to Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, but Dominik Mysterio was able to retain his Intercontinental title and sneak past AJ Styles due to an elaborate cheating plan involving his boot. They lost the women's tag team titles, but they kept Dominik's title. So a half good and half bad day for the Judgment Day at SummerSlam. But what's next for the Judgment Day? Well, the Raw after SummerSlam included a very brief 1-second teaser of what's potentially to come for the group. And this all went down during a backstage segment with the Judgment Day. As Raquel is about to pull Roxanne away to talk things over about the loss of the women's tag team titles, Roxanne stops and doesn't say goodbye to the entire group. She only specifically says bye to Dominik. It's a very brief moment, but it's one of those subtle little things that if you pay attention to, it paints the picture of what could be on the way. Ever since Roxanne has been around the Judgment Day, it's been no secret at all that she's been trying to get close to Dominik. Lots of mini gifts, saving him in matches, giving him massages, just a lot of things like that since she entered the picture. And even just a few weeks ago, it was Roxanne that gifted Dominik Mysterio a brand new Nintendo Switch, which is pricey, so Roxanne definitely doesn't seem to mind emptying the bank for Dominik's gifts. They haven't really went that deep with the Dominik and Roxanne stuff since they've both been champions lately, and both been very occupied. But this moment here of Roxanne ignoring the whole group and only saying bye to Dominik, that does seem like a little teaser that they're about to dive deep into the whole Roxanne and Dominik angle again in the near future. Roxanne and Raquel also lost their rematch against Alexa and Charlotte, so it looks like since Roxanne won't be occupied with the tag team titles anymore, that could mean even more time for her to devote to Dominik Mysterio. So they've been lightly progressing that story between Dominik and Roxanne in subtle ways, but it looks like the major ways are about to take off here real soon. But what's also interesting that we, the audience, don't really have the answer to is that we don't know how genuine Roxanne's feelings for Dominik truly are. With Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan and their relationships with Dominik Mysterio, things were pretty organic and natural there with how everything developed. But the fishy part with Roxanne Perez is that before she really was affiliated with the Judgment Day, we know for a fact that Finn Balor was talking to her backstage for several weeks, and we don't know what those conversations consisted of. They were all in the deep background of other segments. We can see Finn and Roxanne talking, but we don't know a single word of what was said between them. Was it Finn just pitching the idea to her of joining the Judgment Day as a member, or was it more twisted than that? Was Finn prepping her and giving her the full plans to try and purposely get Dominik Mysterio to fall for her and trick Dominik as part of a whole big scheme? That's the part we don't really know, since we never heard the context of any of those private conversations between Roxanne and Finn. All we know is that once Roxanne got introduced to the group by Finn, she instantly started making big moves towards Dominik Mysterio, which is everyone wondering if those actions from Roxanne was under her own personal doing, or if Finn put her up to doing all that. That's the question everyone has had from the start, and that's the question everyone has right now, because that mystery behind Roxanne's actions is still very much in play. So it looks like they're about to really crank things up between Roxanne and Dominik, and we'll see how exactly that goes. Because the last time Dominik was put through a similar situation of temptation and cheating, he held strong for a bit, but ultimately caved in and folded. So the expectation is that no doubt Dominik will fold again and probably fall for Roxanne Perez. Especially with Finn just saying on Raw that Liv Morgan is going to be out for another 6 to 8 months. If that's true, that means it's going to be a long and hard road for Dominik to try and stay loyal to Liv Morgan, with Roxanne being up to her usual tricks. And the Dominik and Roxanne dynamic is so interesting because it can be taken in so many different directions. They can put Dominik and Roxanne legitimately together, which will make Dominik really seem like a dirtbag and will make Liv Morgan seem like the sympathetic babyface, since everything was stolen from her like that. But that direction is a bit boring though, only because it would literally be an exact copy and paste of what they did with Rhea and Dominik. So that feels like lazy writing to repeat the same exact scenario, which is switching some characters around. But the other potential direction is for Dominik to actually remain loyal this time around. If Dominik remains loyal and it's later revealed that Finn did put Roxanne up to doing everything as a big scheme, well now Dominik and Liv look like the baby faces there, and that could lead towards Finn and Roxanne versus Dominik and Liv maybe sometime in 2026. So this entire situation between Dominik and Roxanne is definitely one of those longer-term storylines, but it'll be exciting to see where it goes here in the coming weeks. One of the most controversial storylines and topics in recent memory has been everything with The Rock and Travis Scott. After being involved with the biggest heel turn in decades, The Rock and Travis Scott disappeared from television. Travis Scott did appear at WrestleMania and impacted the outcome there, but fans were expecting a little bit more story there. There were even rumblings that Travis Scott and John Cena were going to compete in a tag team match together, how The Rock would appear again, and more rumors about the program. But what ended up happening was nothing at all, and John Cena pretty much erased all those events from history with his promo before SummerSlam, just leaving fans with such a weird and unsettling feeling that everything from March until right before SummerSlam was a bit pointless and useless. Well, during a recent interview with Uncrowned, Paul Heyman was questioned about that story, and Heyman did confirm that the original plans did include a big payoff for that trio of Rock, Travis, and Cena, but that everything fell apart and they moved forward without it. Paul Heyman didn't fully confirm the fallout between Travis Scott and WWE, but he did say that he heard several rumblings of things falling apart there, specifically as well. And when it came to the Rock side of things, Paul Heyman said he didn't have the direct answer for the story abandonment there, and how you're going to have to ask The Rock for his side of the story. So it's nice to know that there was an original payoff in mind. It's just unfortunate that we didn't see it, because that left the story feeling like a discontinued mess. WWE appearances from The Rock have definitely become bittersweet and complicated in recent memory. It's always great to see him come out on television. There isn't anything like it. He's bound to make any crowd in any city erupt. But when he comes back, he gets you excited with something every time. But then he disappears for an eternity, and then whenever he does come back, he doesn't even bother following up with whatever it was he was teasing during his prior appearance. It's like a cycle. So although it's always great to see him, it has become very frustrating for viewers that enjoy flowing and compelling storytelling. So Travis may be fully out for good, but we're to assume that we'll see The Rock again one day down the line. A storyline that is definitely piquing some fan interest right now is everything going on between Bayley and Lyra. This is another one of those long-term storylines at work. Bayley and Lyra first linked up earlier in the year on the road to WrestleMania 41. Bayley and Lyra were both without a WrestleMania match, so they joined forces and became #1 contenders for the women's tag team titles. But Bayley got attacked by Becky Lynch and missed WrestleMania. However, Lyra still got her WrestleMania moment by winning the tag team titles with Becky Lynch. Bayley would later return and come after Becky Lynch, which also got in the way of Lyra and Becky's feud. Lyra started becoming distant with Bayley the more Bayley got in the middle of her business. Then you had that weird tag team titles match a few weeks before SummerSlam, where Bayley got Lyra and herself a tag team titles match against the Judgment Day. Bayley didn't even let Lyra know about that match in advance, and it did kind of look like a selfish move by Bayley. Bayley knew she was well on her way of missing SummerSlam, so she desperately tried to win the tag team titles that week during Raw in an attempt to get herself on the SummerSlam card at the last second. Bayley didn't care that it meant Lyra working double duty at SummerSlam and ruining her shot against Becky Lynch. Bayley just wanted to get herself on the card. And then you get to SummerSlam and more interesting things happen. Bayley interferes in the match to come after Becky Lynch, but Becky tempts Bayley to attack Lyra, and Bayley really thought about attacking Lyra for a really long time, but ultimately doesn't do it. However, the match ended with Bayley accidentally knocking out Lyra, costing Lyra the win, and of course the big stipulation that Lyra could never challenge Becky again for the title. So it looks like all of those recent events are now leading into a Bayley versus Lyra feud. But what everyone is waiting for here is pretty much a heel turn. You have these two former friends that haven't been on the same page with each other in months, yet no one has really betrayed each other. Bayley definitely thought about it at SummerSlam, and Lyra has been very dismissive to Bayley, but who's going to turn here is the burning question. You can make a case for Lyra, and you can make a case for Bayley, so that will get interesting there.
But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.